I bet you this one's going to be like an hour 20 for no reason.
I mean, there's 3 of us. It should go by fast. I told Derek and Riley to do the Wordle.
We should be live.
There's 3.
It looks like there's no delay. Okay, we're live.
It looks like it on my end too. I'm gonna keep this open just for comment sections, but welcome to Week 7 coverage of Canada Gridiron. I'm your host Dylan. I'll let these fine gentlemen introduce themselves.
Colby, you go first.
Oh, I'm Colby.
And I am the Matthew Boyley. What's up?
I suppose we failed to coordinate ourselves before the episode because we forgot we're going to be missing 2 hosts.
Yeah.
We are recapping Week 6 coverage of the CFL, as well as news and previewing the Week 7 games. So let's start off from the beginning, unfortunately, but let's just rip the Band-Aid off because we don't want to talk about Ottawa, but we got to talk about Ottawa. 40-17 against Edmonton. It looked like they had a slight chance going into the fourth quarter, and that's just when Edmonton laid the beat down on them. So let's start with the man of the hour, the man of the season, Justin Rankin. 107 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 4 receptions for another 43 rushing yards, and another receiving touchdown. That's one hell of a game. And the CFL's Instagram posted yesterday his paces and the records that can be potentially broken. 2,916 yards from scrimmage, which would be a record by almost 500. Actually, over 500. 2,414 is the current record set by Mike Pringle. He also is on pace for 25 total touchdowns. The record right now is 23 by Milt Stegall. And lastly, he's on pace for 1,847 rushing yards and 1,069 receiving yards. No one's ever broke the 1,000 barrier at both in a single season. We've already talked about, it's Justin Rankin the favorite to win the MOP, blah, blah, blah. Is he actually going to do it? I'll start with you, Matthew.
Yeah, he's definitely going to do it. I don't think anyone's coming close to this guy. I think... I mean, barring any injuries, I don't see it happening. I think he's just going to run through every wall that he can, and he's going to be the reason that Edmonton even goes deep in the playoffs, because I think they're going to make it there. I know people are, expecting them to slow down at some point. I don't think they're going to, and I think they're going to keep up this pace, and, yeah, he's going to be the reason that they do it. So, yes, I'm betting on the fact that he is going to be the MOP and break, every record that he is set to break right now.
Colby?
I think definitely there's a good chance of it, because if he is a finalist, I don't think there's any players from the East right now that are really doing quite what he is doing. You could argue maybe Philpott or Alexander, but if you're the first ever guy to record 1,000 rushing and receiving, I feel like you should just be an automatic MOP.
I agree. And before I start, I just want to say shout out to Milt Stegall, because it is impressive that he has the total touchdown record, considering receivers don't really get rushing touchdowns. So he's at a disadvantage with that. But as of right now, yeah, he's absolutely the MOP. Will he do it? I think there is a good chance he does do it. But it's going to start getting harder for Edmonton, and it's going to start getting harder for him. If you look at their next 5 games, it is BC, a back-to-back with Saskatchewan, Montreal, and Toronto. And this is where Edmonton and Justin Rankin's true test is going to come. If they can play the way they've been playing these next 5 games and at least come up with even a 2-3 record, these next batch of games would be solid. But 3-2 and above proves that they are just that good. And we'll see how it goes after this stretch for them. Now, is Ottawa gonna win? Like, how long is Ottawa waiting for a win? Start with you, Matthew.
Yeah, I really don't know. I'm sure like I think we were talking about this in the chat or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they're just gonna pick up a win almost accidentally along the way, kind of like Edmonton did in their like poor drought of like winless at home. But when that is, I don't know. I don't really see that happening anytime soon, but I could honestly see it being to the Bombers just in classic, giving it up to like the shitty team fashion that we, tend to do. I.e. the Crumback, what was it, a couple years ago. So I won't bet against them in that game, but I think if it is gonna happen, it will be then. If not, it won't be for a while.
Colby?
Yeah, like Winnipeg has not played great in Ottawa the last few years, but Ottawa is so bad. If they lose this game, there's like I don't actually see them winning any games before they're like 0-9 or 0-10. It's it just seems like they're getting worse and worse every week, even though you would think that they've already like hit rock bottom kind of. They just managed to surprise you again with how bad they are.
Yeah, fair enough. And I've said before, they're not going to go 0-18. Like, they're bad, but they're not that bad. And as for who they beat, like, I don't know. I just threw a couple crapshoot names yesterday. It's interesting because Hamilton, you obviously look at it and it's like, well, Hamilton's got a backup quarterback, and we clearly saw how that worked. And they're going to have backups for the rest of the season. And it's like, maybe they can beat Hamilton. They don't play them till week 18 and then week 21. So that's a brutal beat for Ottawa. But the crapshoot names I threw out there was one against Hamilton, obviously. And then come back to this November when I'm either really right or dead wrong. BC, Toronto, and Calgary.
They're not going to beat Toronto.
I mean, they did last year. They did the year before.
Yeah, this is even worse.
They're going to beat someone, though. They're going
Probably.
to. Just come back to this November when I'm either dead right or dead wrong. And on the topic of Ottawa being dog shit, is Jake Mayer's time out? I'll just pull up some stats real quickly from the game. He completed 26 for 39, which isn't the worst. But, yeah, 293 yards, and he had one touchdown and 4 picks. And let me make this clear. This is not as bad. This is not as good as it seems. Because look at Aiden Eberhardt's stat line. He had 11 receptions for 155 yards and 1 touchdown. Seems like he was kind of making Jake's resume this game look a lot better than it really was. Matthew?
I've said since I think it was about 2 episodes ago now that I think that they should have at least tried with Bethel Thompson a little bit earlier on. But, they kept going with Mayer, and clearly it has not worked out very well in their favor. I don't know how well Bethel Thompson's going to work out. It's just kind of like, who's the worst of the two? And I think Mayer is, and I think it's time to pull the plug on him. I've never been a big fan on Mayer either. Even when he was in Calgary, I didn't think he was the guy to not only not win a championship, but not even be a contending team. So,
for what it was worth, McLeod did see some action this
yeah,
game.
that's true.
He went with 3 for 4 with 30 yards.
Okay.
But anyways, Colby, what do you think?
I think this will be probably his last game because they're going into the bye after this. They'll kind of have an extra week to look at everything. If he does not win this game, I think he's done. I think they should already be starting MBT to begin with, but they're probably going to start Mayer again. If like he was already down like 22 points against Edmonton, and he comes on the field and with no pressure on to try and win the game or whatever, he just throws another pick, right? So yeah, if he doesn't win this thing, I think that he's done. He's going to be out of the league. He's never going to have a job again.
Oh, I don't know if you saw the chat, but Adam forgot it was film day.
He's playing
I told you.
tennis.
Shout out Adam. You're not here to bully Matthew again.
Nothing to bully me about, but we'll get there.
And so the last thing we'll talk about quickly is how far can Edmonton go at the pass game, because the way they've won games so far is defensive shutdown and Justin Rankin gets you the points. The pass game hasn't been bad, but they haven't taken over a single one of these wins. And I feel like, especially with the 5-game schedule that I've told you about, where it's BC, Saskatchewan twice, Montreal, and Toronto, you're not going to be able to rely on shutdown defense and Justin Rankin getting you all your points. So if there is, and I'll say this, BC has a horrible secondary, so if there was ever a time for Edmonton's pass game to come alive, it's this game. But if Edmonton's pass game does not come alive, how far is Edmonton going to be able to go? Matthew?
If it doesn't come alive, I guess it'll go as far as the run game does, which clearly has taken them quite far. But like you said, like they got a pretty hefty schedule coming up, so I'd like to see them, expand on more than just their run game. But if it's been working, I don't see them stopping until it doesn't work. So I think it'll be quite a task for them to adjust to in practice if they start losing. So I guess we'll see by then. Right now it's kind of hard to say because we don't know how legit they actually are, because they've just kind of got away with some whatever teams. But I think it'll be more of a question in the later weeks after we see these games.
Colby?
Yeah, I mean it's basically Justin Rankin, right?
Yeah.
We've seen him in their 4 wins. He played really good in all 4 of those. And then as soon as BC was able to kind of take him away in the ground game, Edmonton stayed close for like the first half, and then they fell behind. They weren't able to come back at all. So if Justin Rankin is taken away, then they're kind of screwed. So they're going to need to figure out kind of some way to get the pass game going a little better.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, because I think BC kind of showed that Edmonton needs a pass game, because Justin Rankin had 100 receiving yards in that game still, but it all came in the fourth quarter late when it was already too late for Edmonton. And that was the one game that they have lost so far, as well as the one game BC's won. So, like I said, if there was ever a time for the pass game to come alive, it's this game. And I do think it can come alive. Cody Fajardo's a really great quarterback, and they're not scary guys, but they do have great receivers like Keon Julian Grant, Austin Mack, and more guys. They do have the guys that it can come alive, but it has to come alive because you are not holding these teams to a low enough point total where Justin Rankin can make up those points. They are going to start zoning in on Justin Rankin, making his job harder. And these are better defenses than Ottawa, and I guess they have played Montreal already, but yeah, they've played Ottawa twice. BC exposed that if you can focus on Justin Rankin and put up some points, you will beat Edmonton. Ottawa just wasn't good enough to do that. But yeah, Edmonton's going to need the pass game to come alive in the next few weeks. Not to say that Justin Rankin can't come alive too. I'm just saying it won't be enough to beat these teams. All right, moving on to the next game, and we definitely have someone that wants to talk about this game. Winnipeg road wins against Toronto at Princess Auto Stadium. Funny how that works. And I guess this is on the notes. Is Claros on the hot seat, Matthew?
No, definitely not. I think that they're giving Brown another week. it's against his old team. Like, what are you gonna do really there? But I think he gives Zach another week to rest, and he's back in after. But especially for this year, I don't see them really, stripping the reins from Kolaris unless he starts doing really bad. Then you kind of have that other option. But I think until then, he goes back in and takes over again.
Colby?
Yeah, I don't think he's on the hot seat, but I think Brown coming in and doing that well after only having one full practice, I do think this will be probably Calero's last year. I think he's going to retire. And I don't think Elgersma is ready to start yet. So I think Brown will probably be a really good bridge player until Elgersma is ready to go. So they at least have that going for him. But Calero should be still the guy.
Claros is not on the hot seat, no. It doesn't really matter what happens this year. Claros will finish the year as a starting quarterback unless he's hurt. And I do think that this is his last year. But having Drew Brown is a really nice touch. And I definitely think Taylor Elgersma's not ready. And they could pivot to Drew Brown as the future if they really wanted to. So, yeah. Now, is Toronto's hot start just a flash in the pan, or is this just a tough stretch of games, Matthew?
I mean, I don't think they're really that good of a team to begin with. Shout out Kyle, I guess. But no, they're a decent team. But I think that like these games are definitely catching up to them, and sorry, but yeah, like this is not an easy task to do. Like you were saying, as a professional athlete, all these travel and stuff, it eventually does catch up to you. So I think that on top of playing some pretty good teams, it's gonna continue being tough for them. But I guess we'll see how it pans out. And I think when they start playing at home, they'll play a little bit better. But I think this was just kind of an unlucky, situation for them.
Colby?
I think it is partly all this road trip that they're doing to start the season, but I also think that Chad Kelly hadn't played in like year and a half at the start of the season. They have a new running back. They have different receiver room. I think it was partly just teams were a little slow getting Toronto figured out, but Calgary was able to shut them down. Winnipeg was able to shut them down. So I think it's partly the road trip, partly teams are just kind of figuring them out.
I think Toronto's been the same this whole entire season. Great offense, horrible defense. Like, they lead the league in most points given up. And you look at the wins that they have, their games, 38-30, Montreal, they lost. And they put up 30 points and lost. That doesn't usually happen. I can't remember the score of the Ottawa game, but I think they gave up 24 to Ottawa, which is brutal. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. Then 40 to 34 against Saskatchewan. Again, you needed 40 points just to win by 6. And then Toronto scored 36 points against Calgary and still lost by fucking 22. And this week was their best showing on defense so far, and they still gave up 30. And yeah, and it was the worst offensive game so far for them at 21. So yeah, it's not a matter of hot start or not. It's a matter of the offense is showing up and the defense is not. But who's going to win the day? Is the offense going to score more than the defense is allowing? That's the story of the Toronto Argonauts this season. Will it change when they finally go home? We'll see. I definitely agree that the constant traveling is messing with them really much. Chad Kelly's beginning to complain about it. All this, like, it's definitely getting to them, but I don't think that the traveling has changed, that the offense is really great and the defense isn't. So now let's move on to Calgary and Montreal. This is a back-to-back. This was the first of the back-to-backs. We'll be covering this game later today. Montreal went into a shootout with them and won 37-30. Tyson Philpott had quite another amazing game with 131 yards and 1 touchdown. Is he in the MOP race now, Matthew?
I mean, of course he's in the race. I don't think he's gonna win it, but he's definitely in the conversation. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Yeah, that's my answer.
Colby?
I just put that on there just because of the pace that he's on. I think that any receiver that is on the pace he's on, I think he's on pace for like well over 2,000 yards. I think they should definitely be well in the conversation. I think it would be sick if we got Rankin and Philpott as finalists.
That would be sick. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to last. It's really hard for a receiver to kind of like etch his name into the M. Fuck. Give me a second, then I'll restart. Okay. I definitely think it would be sick if we had Justin Rankin versus Tyson Philpott in the MOP race this year, like as the finalist. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Tyson Philpott definitely deserves his name mentioned in the race, even maybe second place behind Rankin. But the problem with receivers, it's really hard to etch their name as the most outstanding player of the league because you can always credit the receiver's success to the quarterback in question. Like, you look at the last MOP for receiver, which is Brandon Banks. His quarterback, Jeremiah Mazzoli, went down in the middle of the year, and then he still continued the same pace. That's a huge reason why he was able to win it. Had Jeremiah Mazzoli been throwing to him all season, it was probably going to be Jeremiah Mazzoli that won that award over him, even if he continued to play the same way he did, because everyone's going to look at it like, yeah, Brandon Banks had an amazing year, but look at Jeremiah Mazzoli. He had an amazing year too, and he's the quarterback. Let's give it to him. So unless Davis Alexander just magically goes down injured, which actually wouldn't be magical, that'd be very typical, it's going to be hard for Tyson Philpott to kind of put himself over his own teammate in the MOP race, because any success you can credit to Philpott, you can also credit to Alexander. But Philpott can't take the credit for Davis Alexander throwing a touchdown pass to Tyler Snead or Alexander Hollins or whoever it may be. Hang on a second. I'm lost. Is Calgary capable of beating top teams in the league? Matthew?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that showing that they had in the their game where they scored like 50 something points, that clearly shows that their offense can produce. It's just a matter of can their defense also. What was it that we played them like week 1 or something? Week 2? Yeah, something like that. And like, I mean, they did well against us, and I think that we're gonna be fighting for that 3 and 4 spot. So all year, I don't think BC's gonna do anything, but that's shout out Adam, yeah. But so I think that they're gonna be in that conversation. Are they gonna fight for 1 and 2? Absolutely not. But I think that they're not in the conversation for last, I guess.
Colby?
I think I think they're kind of right in the middle right now. They were really close to beating Saskatchewan. They were pretty close to tying Montreal at the end there. But the 2 wins they have were just completely bullying bad defenses. Like they kind of destroyed BC, and they really destroyed Toronto. And then Winnipeg, that was just a close game. I think they can beat the better teams, but we haven't actually seen them do it yet. So I think getting the Alouettes at home this week will probably be a good chance for them.
Thank you, Colby, and you heard it here from me first. Calgary is beating Montreal this week. I'll get more into that later when we actually cover the game, because we're actually talking about the game that happened instead of the one that is going to happen. I do think Calgary's capable of beating the good teams in the league, but I also think that the bad teams are capable of beating Calgary. They're kind of in that range where they can strike anyone and anyone can strike them. It's like we're not gonna watch Ottawa go and beat Saskatchewan this year, but
No.
Ottawa can beat Calgary and that wouldn't shock me. But Calgary could beat Saskatchewan and that wouldn't shock me, if you know what I mean. Um, Calgary also kept it close with Saskatchewan. It was 40-37 in double overtime, and then they lost like by 2 to Winnipeg. And 7 points to Montreal is their worst loss this season. They're definitely keeping these games close, or they're winning them. So in close games, you can always look at it and just think, oh, if we just did one or two things differently, we win the game. If it's just a matter of doing a few things differently, you're definitely capable of beating them. And it's not just like a one-time thing where, oh, they got lucky one game to be close like Ottawa did with Montreal. But they have had the chances to beat these good teams, and they've just failed. And Toronto is a good team, and they beat them by 22, so they are definitely capable. And now let's get into the last game of the week. It was a really hot Sunday in the city of Regina, Deadpool's favorite city. I'm lost.
Lock in, bro. Lock in.
Okay. Let's get to the last game of the week. It was a really hot Sunday in Regina, and it was a really hot game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they destroyed the Hamilton Tiger Cats 38-7. And if we want to get technical on those 7 points, it was 2 field goals and a rouge. So they really held Hamilton down. That is, without a doubt, the lowest point total so far this season. The next closest was Ottawa, who scored 17 this week. So best defensive showing of the season by any team so far this year. Granted, it did come against a backup quarterback. You still prove more than a lot, but is Saskatchewan finally getting back to that Grey Cup champion pace, even with a new defense missing a lot of guys from that last year? Because the team is 4-1, but the defense has definitely been slow coming out of the gate. Is Saskatchewan actually getting back into that elite defense pace like they were last year, or is this just the fact that they were playing Jake Dolegala? Matthew?
I'd like to say both there, but no, I think that Saskatchewan, it was only a matter of time, before the defense locked in. I think that, coming out of last year, it was bound to be another, like, at least a decent season, if not another great season for you guys. And it's been shown that you guys have been pretty good this year, as much as it pains me to say that. So I think you'll continue to do very well, and probably even finish first, barring Edmonton knocking on the door there. But yeah, no, I do think you guys are gonna have a really good year, as yeah, something pretty close to last year.
Colby? Yeah, my
I
ears
think
off.
I think I'm not 100% convinced because we were playing Gala, who I like the guy, but he isn't really that good. But in the past, when we were in that sort of situation, we're playing a significantly worse team. We kind of had a habit of letting him hang around, make it close at the end. And Hamilton was only behind by 11 in the fourth quarter, and then we just put him away. Like, it wasn't even close. We got that one pick six was kind of the defining moment, I would say. Yeah, like you throw a 107-yard pick six to a linebacker who for some reason is the only guy on our team who has a pick this year. But it was nice to see the defense get sacks and not give up any big plays, and they got the big plays with the Sales fumble recovery and the Woods pick six. So I think definitely to a degree they're coming back sort of to where they were at last year.
Is that really our first pick of the season?
No, he had one against Toronto. So he's the only guy on the team with a pick. He's got 2.
Oh, okay. I definitely think that the team is coming together now. I wasn't worried going into the season with all the losses on defense, but it would have been foolish for me to say there wasn't going to be growing pains. And I think the start of the season was the growing pains, and the team is coming together now. Even if it's just against a backup quarterback, it's really helpful to have a game like this because it boosts your confidence, it boosts your chemistry, and it's momentum that you can ride into the next game, which will be a big game next week. We are on bye this week. Next week is the battle for first, and so it's definitely a huge break for the Riders to have a game against a backup quarterback like this where you can just lay the beat down and not have to worry about them making it close like cardiac rider fashion. But yeah, because you look at the last game, and I know it was Ottawa, and Ottawa is probably just as bad as a Dolegala Ticats team. But the defense had a good showing there too. Like I know they still allowed 22 to the Jake Mayer Red Blacks, but it was a really slow start for the Riders, and then they kind of came out the gate after that, and because the Riders allowed a 13-0 lead in that Ottawa game early on, and then the defense shut them down the rest of the game. So even though the score will say 22, I really only look at it like 9 points after a certain point in the game. And then you come into this game and you allow 7. So that's 16 points allowed in like the last 6 quarters. That'll, even though it was against bad opponents, that's definitely working out the growing pains. And I think that next week will be the true test because you're facing the league MOP. But I do think that the defense is fully back now with new faces. God, I just know how to yap my ass off. Can Hamilton win another game without Bo Levi, Matthew?
I mean, what'd you say? Week 18, week 21? Is that when it is? Against Ottawa there? No, I think once again, like I think this first week without Bo Levi was a bit rough for them, obviously. And I think that they'll figure something out over time, whether they have to cycle through a couple quarterbacks to get to that point. But I think they also have like a great team besides just the quarterback too. So I think that with that receiving core and that defense, they'll be able to figure it out. It's just this week was, especially against Saskatchewan, it's bound to be a bit of a tougher competition. So
Colby?
I think they can. If they run into an offense that is kind of struggling, they have a solid defense. I think that could help them win. But I'm just looking at their schedule, and it's pretty rough. They got Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, BC is their next 4 games. Then they got Saskatchewan, Toronto again, Calgary again, Toronto again. And then they get to the bye. Then they get Montreal, and then Edmonton, and then finally they get to play Ottawa. So they have a lot of really good offenses coming up. So it's going to be tough. They'll probably just kind of randomly win one of those games, like against Toronto or Calgary or something.
Or BC.
Or BC. But it's not looking good.
The same thing I say about Ottawa. They're not going 0-18. Hamilton's not going winless here. And the first game without Bo was always going to be the hardest because that's when the growing pains begin. And you look at, like, even with a shit quarterback like Jake Mayer in Ottawa, he still got a bit better this season until the last game. Like, he has worked some stuff out and has boosted his performance. Same thing's going to happen with Hamilton and whoever they decide to play, because Milanovic is going to figure out, okay, without Bo, this is what gives us the best chance. Without this week, he really didn't know, and he clearly picked the wrong fucking guy. But is as the season goes on, Mlanovich is going to figure out ways to work around the loss of Bo Levi, but it's not going to be many wins for them. And I think if they want to win games, they have to start Trey Ford. I don't care that Jake Dolegala fits the offense better. Trey Ford is the one that gives you the chance to win. He's a very inconsistent quarterback, very inaccurate, but when he's on, he is one of the hardest players in the league to play against. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders are continuing to have special teams issues. You look at Ottawa, and they have Brett Lauder, who is 100% on the season. And not only is our kicker 10 for 13, which is good for 76%, which is not good, his longest on the season is 38. He has yet to break a 40. What is going on in Saskatchewan? As well as the return game hasn't been good this year. And then you lose Letcher. And then Emlis gets hurt, returning as a backup. He did heal, but then Matthew Sexton comes in, and he looks really good, and now he's fucking. I'll let Colby talk first this time.
Yeah, I mean, we had kicking issues all last season. Lothar had a bad year, and we managed to make it through the whole season dealing with that and win a Grey Cup. I'm not saying that is something we can necessarily do again, but as long as we can play in such a way where Alex Hale doesn't have to come out to try and like win a game or something, we should be okay for the rest of the season. But he's only going to be able to get away with so much before we have to cut him, because he missed an extra point, which should be free. He missed his first field goal try, which was only I think it was 30 yards. He pushed it to the right. So he's on thin ice. He has been on thin ice since week 3. And then with the return game, you can find returners everywhere, but we got to stop everyone getting injured.
Yeah. I think the reason why Lauder was able to get away with what he did last year for the entire season was because Lauder had 6 great years behind him. So it was basically he's earned the right to work his way out of this. Alex Hale does not have that. So he's definitely on thin ice. And the fact of the matter is, after he missed that kick, we aren't even putting him out in positions where he's further than 40. That's really telling that we don't even trust this guy to kick further than 40 yards. You've got Winnipeg here, and while Sergio Castillo definitely can miss some stupid kicks, he can also fucking hit from an insane distance, and we don't even trust our kicker to kick 40. That's definitely a problem that needs to be addressed. Whether it's firing Malgiri or bringing in a new kicker as competition or just flat out replacing him, something's got to be done, because you can't win a Grey Cup if you can't trust your kicker to kick anything further than 40. Lauder, even as bad as he was last year, he was still trusted to kick further out, and he set a career high last year of 59, I think it was. So, yeah, this is a worse issue than it was last year. Matthew, what do you think?
I don't got a whole lot to say, but what I will say is, being a Bomber fan and having to deal with Mark Leggio for the short period of time that we did, having a bad kicker isn't fun, and especially relying on him for the rest of the season going into a Grey Cup is even worse. So I think if this continues, then you guys definitely should move on and find a new kicker before stuff gets serious, because when it does, then it's too late, and you've already cost yourself quite a few points and maybe even a few field goals. So, as for the returning game, I'm honestly not too familiar with it, but if like Colby said, you could find returners anywhere. So, I don't think that's something you guys need to worry about. It's the kicking that's probably the main issue.
All right, let's move on to the news segment. It wasn't a busy news week, but we do have a couple stories to cover quickly. The Ticats re-signed quarterback Harrison Frost. He was on the roster last year as a third-string quarterback, and he got cut. Was it in training camp, or I don't quite remember. He was cut in training camp. Then now he's being brought back. Is this a move that the Ticats need to make, or is this just a desperate scramble, Matthew?
This is such a nothing burger of a move in my opinion. I think that this is just like, all right, I guess, bro. Like, I don't really know what to say about this signing. I mean, this is not gonna be their QB1, maybe not even their QB2. So like, yeah, it's a depth signing. For what reason? I mean, maybe because you lost Bo Levi, you just scramble for that third guy. But no, this is not gonna mean anything of significance. And I'll like come back to this a couple months from now, and yeah, it's nothing.
Colby, nothing burger.
It's nothing. He's going to be competing with Jarrett Daggy for the third quarterback spot. I don't really care whether they start Ford or Dolegala, but it's going to be one of those two for probably the rest of the season because they both have much more starting experience than the other two guys. I think they just signed him because they felt like it.
I definitely don't think Ford Dolegala will see the entire season because quarterbacks do only have limited mileage. And if you're 4 and like 12 and Ford and Dolegala both been pulled numerous times because they're sucking, like, what do you have to lose starting a guy like Harrison Frost who has never played starting snaps in the CFL? And for what you know, like, do I think it would happen? No, but he could end up just being like the next great star of the CFL. Because you never know who it ends up being. I remember 2 years ago, Saskatchewan was beating Montreal's backup quarterback pretty bad, and then he got pulled, and in comes Davis Alexander, and he fucking beat us. And now he just took the team to the Grey Cup last year. So you never really know what these guys that haven't touched the field are gonna do until they've touched the field. But do I think he's going to be that? No. If he clearly wasn't good enough to make the roster in training camp, he's probably not all that. But I'm at least glad that they're making a signing like this because after Bo Levi got hurt, their quarterback room was Jake Dolegala, Trey Ford, and Jarrett Daggy. None of those guys were ever going to be future CFL starters. They all have shown what they're capable of. None of them had untapped potential. And so at least they're bringing a guy in that does have untapped potential because my view on backup quarterbacks is if you don't have either a guy that could be the next star with untapped potential or an old reliable like Nick Arbuckle, you're just sucking at the spot. Like you got to have one of those two guys, either someone that could be a potential starter if they get the chance to show themselves, or a guy that you know is good enough to be a backup. And lastly, Dennis McKnight was named the Lions' new special teams coordinator. Is this move going to help them at all? Start with you, Colby.
I mean, of course, it will help to a degree. He's proven to be a solid special teams guy before. And the Lions definitely had a lot of special teams issues to start the season, but it's a good signing for them. But the defense has definitely been a much bigger issue for them. So it's good, but I don't think we're gonna see them win any games just from this signing.
I'll start before Matthew because I know Matthew probably has nothing to say
Yeah,
about
this is a nothing burger, bro.
Sorry, there's nothing burger news this week. I'm just gonna say I'm familiar with Dennis Knight's game, so I really don't have much to say about it. But BC Lions, their special teams just are shit in general, and who knows? Maybe this guy's just a mastermind of it, and he's gonna put a new system in, and it's gonna work. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think BC Lions special teams is more about who they have and not about who they have calling it. And even though I do say that, like the old guy definitely had to go because it gets to a point where you can't justify keeping your job. But I don't think this is going to do anything. Do you have anything to say, Matthew?
Nah, you pretty much said it all. I agree with that. I don't think the problem was the coordinator, but yeah.
All right, let's get to previewing these games. BC and Edmonton. It's a rematch for BC and Edmonton from last week, the week before. I don't know.
That's crazy.
Can Edmonton bounce back after this loss and beat BC this time, or is Nathan Rourke just going to continue owning the Edmonton Elks? Matthew?
Um, I think Edmonton's gonna win this game. I guess there's always a chance that BC finally decides to lock in and you know be a football team again, but I don't think this is that game, and I think that Edmonton's gonna figure it out. So that's who I'm picking to win this week. And yeah, I mean Nathan Rourke's always gonna probably put up some good numbers in this game, but it's not gonna matter.
Colby?
I think it's going to be a lot closer than it was last time, but I still think the Lions are going to win. Uh, I think they looked like they kind of just had the answer for Edmonton. Their pass defense was really good. They were able to stop Rankin. I think they won't do as good a job of that, but if they can even hold them to like 70 yards or less rushing, they will be right in with the chance to win the game. I think it'll be I'm like 30 to 27, but I think Lions are going to win.
I said it earlier, it's all going to come down to whether or not Edmonton's passing game can come alive because BC is going to put up points. There's no doubt about it. Edmonton's defense can try and hold them off. They'll probably hold some points off the board, but they're not going to hold them to like 18 that they held Winnipeg to and 17 that they held Ottawa to. They're not going to hold them to that. And Justin Rankin can't put 30 points on the board as good as he is. So it's going to have to be BC or Edmonton's passing game coming alive. I do think they have the ability to do it. And if there ever was a game for it to be, it's this game. But this is what will determine whether or not Edmonton wins the game, is can they pick on BC's poor secondary with their passing game? Can the Lions shut Justin Rankin down like they did last time, Matthew?
I'm sure they can, but after a bit of time spent in the film room, they probably are gonna figure something out to try and get him going again. Like you said, the pass game is gonna be very important in this game, and I think that's something that they probably have studied more with this team. So I'm sure that that's something they might try and focus on. But like Justin Rankin is still Justin Rankin, so I'm sure they're gonna try to go to him first and see what works. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Colby?
I could be thinking about this all wrong, but I think the Lions are at a bit of an advantage here because they were able to stop Justin Rankin. They win. They get a week off, and then they get to play the same team again with, Edmonton played an extra game, and Rankin played really good. So the Lions have lots of big Justin Rankin plays to watch and practice for. I think, like I said, Rankin's going to do better in this game than he did before. But I think BC will be able to kind of slow him down a little bit again.
Yeah. It's going to be hard for Justin Rankin. This is a team that systematically schemed against him because they know that their pass defense is horrible. So they wanted to make sure that Justin Rankin didn't just tear them apart. And I do think that Edmonton has a better chance this game than they did the last one. And I do think that Justin Rankin is more likely to break through than this one. Because Justin Rankin was due for a bad game last time, but I don't think he's due again quite yet. Not that that's going to mean anything, because you can be due a bad game at any point. But I do think that it's going to be a lot harder for BC to shut Justin Rankin down this time, because Edmonton, you know how they say you either win or learn? I know it's a cringy saying, but you know how they say that? It's definitely true, because Edmonton lost and they get the opportunity to look at the film from that game and realize, okay, what did we do wrong that cost us this game? BC doesn't get to do that.
Yeah.
And Justin Rankin's going to look at this game and be like, okay, how did I get slowed down? And he's going to look at the film and see, okay, this is what I did wrong. This is what they did right. How can I expose that? Now let's get to the rematch of the week, Montreal and Calgary. This time it's in Calgary. Is Calgary going to get revenge at home, Matthew?
I could definitely see them, winning this game here. I still got Montreal to win it, but this one's a toss-up. I don't think it's going to be as close. Last time it was fairly close, but I don't think it's going to be, I think VA is going to ball out, and I think Davis Alexander is also going to ball out. So I think it's just going to be, one of those shootout games that it's anybody's game here. But I still got Montreal, though.
Colby?
Calgary was able to get pretty close last week. I think they can win this game. I'm going to pick them to win, but it is so 50-50. It really just all depends on whether or not Calgary can kind of keep up with Montreal, because last week they fell behind and they kind of just ran out of time to come back. If they can keep it close for longer, I think they'll have a much better chance to win.
I said it earlier. I'll say it again. I think Calgary's going to win this game, but I do think it is a 50-50, and I would not be shocked if Montreal wins this game. These are two highly explosive offenses with two suspect defenses. And I think we're in for another shootout. I think Calgary's going to have the advantage this time because the home crowd. And that's a huge part of why I think they're going to win, because they were able to keep it close in Montreal. Now they get the chance to have the advantage. And like I just said with BC and Edmonton, Calgary gets the opportunity to look at the film and be like, okay, why did we lose this game? Montreal doesn't get the opportunity to do that. They can just look at the film and be like, oh, yeah, we did this right. Let's do it right again. It could go either way, but I'm picking Calgary to win this game. Is there any way to slow down Tyson Philpott, though, Matthew?
Absolutely not. Guy's gonna have another stellar game here.
Is that all you got to say?
Yeah, no, I don't think, it's Tyson Philpott, I guess you could have multiple guys, on him, but no matter what, they're going to find a way to get the ball to him like they have been, so I don't see him slowing down this game at all. I'm sure they've probably planned for this, so I think there's going to be less action, but it's not going to be he's still going to see the ball, so.
Yeah, Colby?
I think, there's not really a way to slow him down as much. He's just too good. I think if they could even hold him to 100 yards receiving, that would be a good effort. But he's probably gonna have 150 plus yards again, because he's so good, right? He gets open all the time, and even on the contested catches, he just always catches them. And now they're working in the that double pass from Sneed last week. They just are thinking of all these different ways to get him the ball.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Calgary to scheme against them, because you can look at it and just be like, oh yeah, well, just load up the side of the field he's on. Davis Alexander will just throw to Tyler Sneed then. And that would obviously mean that they slow down Philpott. But if Tyler Sneed goes off, then what good does it do for you? You have to find a way to slow down Philpott without just flat out letting the other receivers eat. And I'm not sure how it's going to be done because I am not a defensive coordinator and I am not paid to do that. But that's really all I got to say. What the fuck just happened to your screen? Oh, it saw like a flash.
Sorry, I opened a new tab.
It looked like you were seeing the fucking gates.
My notes page is white, and I opened a tab that has a dark background.
It literally looked like a lightning strike into your screen.
Yeah, I know.
Toronto and Hamilton. We'll just keep this short and sweet. Does Hamilton have a chance?
No. Next.
No.
It's a rivalry game, so I'm not going to say they don't have a chance. It can go any way. You look at last year, Hamilton finished first in the East, and Toronto was terrible and had Nick Arbuckle at quarterback, who is good.
Hey,
but
he's
terrible.
good.
The team was terrible and all that. Toronto still went and fucking pulled a miracle in Hamilton in a year that Hamilton was that close to the Grey Cup, and Toronto won 6 games. It's a rivalry game, and Toronto's going to have a lot of... No, they're not going to have a lot of fans there. But it is their home game. And Toronto and the Argonauts have been given Argo fans that have season tickets to this game. So I do think that there will be a crowd there. Because we joke about Argos not having fans, but they do have season ticket holders, and they will make the trip to Hamilton. So
Maybe like 20 people there. So many.
Yeah, Kyle will be one of them. No, he won't. But yeah, so I do think there is a chance, but do I think I'm picking Hamilton? Or no. Toronto's got a high-flying offense, a suspect defense. So if there was a game to get the offense going again with a backup quarterback, it's this game, and that's probably Hamilton's path to winning it. But it's going to be hard. And Hamilton does have a good defense that can slow down Toronto. Like, the loss of Bo Levi Mitchell does not change that. So it's all going to come down to, can hopefully Trey Ford come out and find ways to strike at this bad defense that leads the league in points allowed. But I will be picking Toronto to win. And lastly, Winnipeg and Ottawa. And the immediate storyline of this game is Drew Brown versus his old team, and specifically Ryan Dinwiddie, the coach GM that benched him for Jake Mayer and traded him away the second the quarterback combo began. So what are we thinking about this game, Drew Brown revenge game, Matthew?
I think he's going to go out there. Like I said earlier, I think that there's always the slim chance walking into Ottawa that Winnipeg just forgets how to play football. But I'm not going to, place my marbles in that basket. I'm going with the Winnipeg win here. I think I have to. Like, what am I going to say that, I think the 0-5 team is finally going to catch a win here? No, but I think that it's going to be awesome to see Drew Brown play against his old team. He was, I always thought he was the better of the two over there, so I think that's a big mistake on their part to get rid of him, and I think it's awesome that we have him now, and I think it's awesome that he's been amazing for us. So I think it's going to be even more awesome to see him tear that team apart. But yeah, so I got Winnipeg winning, and I think it's going to be a fun game to watch as a Bomber fan.
Colby?
This is the only time that I would ever actually want Winnipeg to win, simply because I want to see Drew Brown go to Ottawa and just absolutely annihilate them, because that is what he deserves to do. He deserves to go there and throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and make Dinwiddie look like the biggest idiot of all time. And then I also hope that the Ottawa quarterbacks throw 3 picks and lose by 20. Because that's just how this game should go. That's what deserves to happen.
I definitely feel somewhat like that. I am a big Drew Brown fan, even though I hate Winnipeg, and I would like to see him kind of dunk his nuts on Dinwiddie's face. But fuck Winnipeg, we are not cheering for that. And we are cheering for an Ottawa win, even though that's the sky turning green. I am really excited for this because even though I don't want Winnipeg to win, I do fully believe that Drew Brown is going to dunk his nuts in Ottawa's face, and it will be fun to see. Now, on the flip side of the quarterback combo, should Ottawa start Jake Mayer or McLeod Bethel Thompson? Matthew?
I've been saying since he got there that MBT should have started right off the rip, but and I will still be saying that. I think it's like, what more does Jake Mayer need to do to prove that he's not their guy? And what more does MBT need to do to prove that he can be their guy? Like, I don't know if he like is sleeping with Dinwiddie's wife or something, but like, why have you not started him yet, you know? So I think it should be him. Will it be him? Probably not, because, they just want to keep riding with this, Mayor narrative, but I think that it should be him. And I think if it's not this week, it'll be the week after that they finally pull the trigger.
Colby?
I think they're going to start Mayer for some reason. But MBT should definitely be starting, even just so they can see something different. Because I don't know if how old he is, and he hasn't played in a while. I don't think he's how old?
38.
Yeah, so he's old as hell. Yeah, and like I don't think he would really be that much better, but it would just be like something different. I think at this point, Ottawa fans just want something different. They don't want to watch Mayer anymore. So MBT should be starting, but they're going to start Mayer for some reason. They just keep starting him.
Now, I said earlier, McLeod did see some action last game, so what that tells me is that Jake's time is running out. And frankly, it should when you throw 1 touchdown and 4 picks. But I do think he will start this game because I don't think his leash has fully ran out yet. But I do think he's on a short leash just the game. And I think if he does not come out proving why he needs more time, then maybe by halftime, maybe third quarter, maybe whenever, McLeod will get the starting job. We'll take into the game and will be named the starter next week. So I think they should start McLeod because I think you've seen enough of Jake to know that he's not the guy. And I don't think McLeod's the guy either, but when you know he's not the guy, you need to move to something different. And I think that's the move, but I do think Jake will start on a short leash. And frankly, is this Ottawa's last chance at getting a win in a while? Because you are going against a mediocre team with a backup quarterback. Matthew?
You're saying the Bombers are a mediocre team? Is that what you're saying?
Oh,
Is he wrong?
That's crazy work. I mean, no, it's not like their last chance. I mean, this is the CFL; anything can happen. But, so no, the answer is absolutely not. But I think that they should definitely, have their eyes set on a win sometime soon because, I don't think they're gonna go 0-18. But it's if they don't win here, this is like they should, really be thinking about like putting somebody in besides Mayer. That's all I'm saying. But I'll leave it at that.
Colby?
I think this is kind of the do or die because you get Winnipeg at home. You've beat them there a couple of times the last few seasons, and then their upcoming schedule is they get a bye week after this, and then they get Montreal, Saskatchewan, and they have to go to Winnipeg, which they're definitely not winning that one. Then they get Montreal again, the Lions, who will probably beat them. They get a bye week, and then they get Toronto, Calgary, and then Hamilton, who, we've talked about that one might be a winnable game, but they got so many tough teams coming up after this. Like they have to win this one, or they're going to be like maybe 2 and 13 or something going into the last few games.
Obviously not the last chance, and I remember 2019 when the winless Argos beat the 6-1 Bombers, was it? So that just tells you that anything can happen because the Argos were the Red Blacks of that season, or I guess the Red Blacks were the Red Blacks of that season. But Toronto was horrible, and that was their first win against a really great team that ended up winning the Grey Cup. So anything can happen, but this is probably the best chance they've had at a win this year. And if not, you're just relying on the random accidental wins, which will eventually come. Like, they will luck into some wins. But, yeah. All right. Thank you guys for watching this week's episode of Canada Gridiron. I'm your host, Dylan. I am joined today by Matthew and Colby. We were missing Kyle and Adam, yes. And thank you guys for watching. See you later.
Peace.